thank Michal so much for joining us for dinner and agreeing to come to share your experience. Some of us had the wonderful opportunity to meet Michal right after Yom Kippur. It was between Yom Kippur and Sukkot.
Yeah.
She came with
Ora
to talk about the democracy movement in Israel and to kind of share that with our community. And just a few days later, everything obviously changed so much. And one of the things when Michal was speaking to us at Temple Shalom was she was talking about her work in this Jerusalem civil society, Shomrim al Havayit Mishutaf, and it kind of reminded me of Vancouver in a funny way, of like the different parts of the community coming together and seeing kind of the collective. And I was very impressed. And so when I've been hearing about what this organization has shifted to in since October 7th, I thought that she would be an amazing person to share with our group a little bit about what's happening here on the ground. So we're very grateful that you're here with us, and we're eager to learn from you.
Maybe before she was
Let's do our votes.
אני לא בטוחה, כי לא יודעת, בוא נתחיל ונראה. Please. I'll be happy to hear a little bit of what you expect from this short trip, and then I'll try to meet some of your expectations, or from our meeting. But I'll be happy to hear a little bit more. Just a short, quick.
Okay. My name is Andrew Muszkat. I'm a rabbi at the Orthodox Synagogue in Vancouver, and I'm close to what I expect from this trip. I'm really trying to understand a little bit more about the Israeli experience, where people see things headed, and how we in the Gulag can help.
I think I am really looking to get a sense of the kind of emotional resonance of understanding what Israelis are experiencing right now, to be able to take that up.
Thank you.
Philip Reagan, I'm the emeritus at Temple Shalom, but I also work at the Federation and the Interfaith work. I'm here because I need to be here. This is, I describe myself as a post-Holocaust Jew, and so much of my gestalt I'm the old guy here, but anti-Semitism was part of my life from the get-go. This is beginning to look and feel like the 1930s. And I would always ask myself, where would I have been as a Jew, as a non-Jew, and after the time? So here, I need to be here.
I'm Philip Gibbs. I'm a rabbi of a smaller conservative synagogue in the north of Vancouver, and I'm just here to listen.
Thank you.
I'm Susie Zimmer. I'm a conservative rabbi in the south of Vancouver. We're not in the south, but south of everything that my colleagues have said. How can we give more? How can we give pieces while we're here, and also to feel and to experience and to take back and
I'm not perfectly good.
Manan is our tour operator and logistics person, and he is the person who organized everything, and we were fortunate enough to take a trip with him from our congregation in March this past year.
Privileged to be in all these events.
I'm Jonathan Michal. I'm a rabbi at the conservative synagogue in the city of Vancouver, and I'm here to hug my son and to represent my synagogue, who I think many of you will relate to.
Are you related to Avraham Infeld?
I am going to go see him for conservative.
Okay, so
Just some of your
his daughter works with me. So,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Anat?
Anat. Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Thank you.
Ehrenfeld. Actually, not a rabbi. Rare here.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. We'll
Not
see.
yet.
We'll see.
You'll
But
never
I'm
know.
never know. I'm a student at the conservative yeshiva on a gap year on a nativ, and I'm here for for a good dinner.
Great. Kavod.
I heard you have another job here.
I'm also here for
Barkant.
Yes, I'm also going to go to Torah.
I'm Hannah Dresner, and I'm the rabbi of the Jewish Renewal Synagogue in Vancouver. And I feel that there's a big gap between what the experience is here and what people imagine. So I'm very interested to just listen as well as I can.
I'm Dan Muszkat. I'm one of the rabbis at Temple Shalom, and I'm here to update my narrative, I guess, between what I think is happening and what I then see is happening, and then try to figure out how to translate that and communicate that to my community and the broader community.
Thank you. You're the driver, אתה הנהג? יופי, איך קוראים לך? נאג'י, נעים מאוד. יואב. יופי, נעים מאוד. כן. Okay, so we don't have that much time, and okay, and maybe I'll start with the word narrative that Dani just mentioned. I think this is a trigger word. Everything now is a trigger. Okay, so. But ma?
Would you mind being a little
Louder, yeah. So I'm thinking, should I sit there or should I sit here? What do you think? Yeah, you think so? But then I'll have to speak much louder, so I don't know what's better. Let's try. Yeah, okay. Okay. I think. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Just a second. So I think that Hanukkah is the Chag of the narrative. I think each of us. I find myself every Hanukkah telling a little bit of a different story about Hanukkah. And what really happened and what I'm thinking of is the message is not always the same. And I think that we are very close to the events. And one thing is our, I think, mission to understand what really happened at the 7th of October. And not to think that everything is a narrative, but and everything is should be seen in a context, as now we hear. But I think one of the duties is to understand what really happened to our people at the 7th of October, and then to think, okay, so what shall we tell now and what shall we do now? Because it's so hard to hear really what happened. And what really happened in so many levels that, you know, we just have to understand some of them and try to pick some of them to be able to be witness to what happened and to what continue to happen now. So I'll tell you a little bit about my experience because I think I'm too close to the events to have big perspectives. But just as you said, you want to hear the experience and maybe it will affect your own narrative. But so I can tell you what happened to me and to people that I know, and then maybe, you know. So at 7th of October, it was in the morning. I was planning to go to the shul, Simchat Torah, and we heard the sirens, so we were shocked. For several years, we did not hear sirens in Jerusalem, so we ran down to our shelter, and we heard several bombs. So we start. I don't look at the phone during Shabbat, but this Shabbat I did. And we start watching the news, looking at the phone and watching the news, and realizing that there is an attack in the south, but also that there are missiles all over Israel. So we start calling everybody that we know in other places to hear what's going on. And I have a friend in Kibbutz Nirim, which I wrote to him what's going on, and he said, I'm in the shelter. So I said, okay, good luck.
Which kibbutz?
Nirim. I said, okay. Few hours later, I wrote to him again, and he said, I'm still in the shelter. And I said, okay. Only a day after I wrote to him, are you okay? And he said, I was 30 hours in the shelter, but I'm okay now. And it took me several days to realize what happened around. But at the same day, during Shabbat, we realized that it starts kind of a war. We didn't know exactly what was happening in the south. So as safeguarding our shared home, we felt immediately responsibility for the society, for the civic society, and we started getting calls for people to get to the army, to Miluim. So we realized, and lots of WhatsApp messages started to go all over, asking for uniform, asking for drives to the south, and we decided that we need to create a operation center room to gather all the needs and to be able to meet the needs of the society that was just shocked. And we realized that we can't and we don't want to create the center room, in Hebrew the Chamal, Chadar Milchama, that we don't want to do it only by ourselves. We need partners, we need people who know how to do that. So we gathered with one party that was running to the mayor, to the city, which we were supposed to have elections to the city of Jerusalem. The name of the party is Itorerut. And then also the protest group of the students, they gathered with us. And then we convinced the Itorerut that we will have another party who's running also to the mayor of Jerusalem, and together we decided that we want to create this center room, and we got the building of בית ספר למשחק, a theater school. They got just a new building, 5 floors, to open the center room. And at that Shabbat, I was busy also looking for places to donate blood for the Magen David Adom. So we were grouped to try to help in many areas. And at that week, I find myself at the Hamal for a month, morning to night, for an entire month, trying to understand what are the needs of the people that were calling. We got so many phone calls, and we looked at groups to understand what kind of equipment people need, what kind of help do they need. People needed equipment for houses that were, just ruined. People were starting to be evacuated from the south and then from the north. And people arrived to hotels in Jerusalem. We have people in 60 hotels in Jerusalem. we understood that we need money because we had to buy some equipment, both for the soldiers but also for families who had left with nothing. So we started creating donations of money. We immediately turned our bank account of safeguarding our shared home into open account for donations to the center room. And also a week after arrived the Shalem institution, who did the same. So we started collaborating with many groups together to both bring some money to be able to buy equipment. And at the beginning, from the beginning, we had many decisions to make. From the beginning, many soldiers called and said, we don't have any equipment. We don't have anything. We don't have nor the ceramic vests, nor the helmets, nor the many others, I don't know how to say them in English, that they needed. ברכיות, ערעורים, כל מיני כאלה, גם אתה לא יודע. Yeah, so many. I started learning what a soldier needs when they got to the war, but also they didn't have the equipment for the winter, because when they went out of home, there's only the uniform, but they weren't ready. They didn't have socks, they didn't have underwears.
They have it now. You brought it.
I guess so, but just think that in a minute, Israel needed so many soldiers, and it wasn't ready at all to nothing that happened. And so we had to, and I just started getting phone calls from lots of people from Israel and from the States saying, we want to buy ceramic vests. And at the beginning, I was very new in this because I never was, I never dealt with such an equipment. So we had to decide, what should we do? Here is someone who's telling me from New York that there is a plane, he's going to equip it with lots of ceramic vests. And then we realized, talking with the army, that the army, they can't say that anything is missing. So we had to kind of guess and be in contact directly with the soldiers. And after first plane that arrived with the wrong color of ceramic vests that were the color of the Hamas vests, we realized that this is something that we can't deal with, that the army should deal with the ceramic vests. And I think that there are groups who did create agreements with the army to be able to buy the right ceramic vests. And yet we had so many equipment that we have to give to soldiers. And we created groups that dealt with getting phone calls and trying to understand where to send them, and people that were dealing with all the data, trying to update, because sometimes someone asked for something and then he got it. So should we buy the same? So we had 5,000 people volunteering in the center room that was organized amazingly. And we brought hot meals, like 1,500 hot meals. We got lots of boxes with equipment to families who were evacuated. And at the first, when people arrived to the hotels, we sent volunteers of us to wait for them because the government wasn't there. It was just, the government really didn't function for a whole month, the first month. Only after 2 weeks, we got phone calls from the government telling us that they want to get in the hotels. So we said, okay, welcome, please do so. And we got some meetings with them where they really thanked us for doing that. And I want to tell you that many of the one of the things that
The government told you what?
thank you for being there.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you for being there. They said to us, we want to take it over. Please help us. And at the beginning, when I said to them, people got to many different hotels. So some of them were really nice to them and prepared to give them everything that they needed. And some others weren't. Like, not in all the hotels, they got 3 meals. So I said to that person in the Misrad Rosh HaMemshala who was in charge, I said to her, please, I have a list of hotels where they don't get 3 meals. So she asked me, are you ready to give them the meals? I said, no. You have to do that. So at the beginning, we were really busy trying to fill in everything that the government needed to do. And in a month and a little bit more, the government with us really took over, and they took our volunteers and started paying them, so they will be the ones that accept all the people who got from not only the south, also from the north. We have 300,000 people who were evacuated from their homes. Yes, we were from the pro-democracy movement, but but we took out all the symbols. We weren't wearing the shirts. We wanted to serve everybody who arrived. And we knew that, people who arrived, we don't want them to feel that, they have to agree with us or they have to disagree with us, because it was a humanistic thing. So, yeah.
In the United States, all of us are really American from birth, except for Rabbi Beckman. So in the United States, there's an organization called FEMA, which is an emergency management. When there's a hurricane, when there's something like that, they're sort of set up. Does Israel have even an office, anything like that would take over?
Yeah. So it should have a plan. And my husband is a physician in Hadassah Hospital, and they have he was the head of the emergency emergency. They had several scripts that, if something will happen, what shall they do? So they had several rehearsals not related to this war. And a week after the war started, they gave him the mission to create a hospital down in the parking lot to be prepared. So this is the way that a hospital gets ready. I'm not sure that, I think that this government never did that. And also, later on we started understanding that the soldiers that were looking and seeing everything, and they gave, they told their commanders what's going on, they never listened to them. So the government wasn't ready for that. And we understood, since, we are a protest group, and what we learned during the 10 months that prior to the 7th of October was that when we feel helplessness, this is the time for us to act.
Has the country ever seen this situation? We're getting 2 different reports. On the one hand, we're getting people telling us when we announced that we're coming over, there was no shortage of what people said they needed. On the other hand, we're hearing from the army saying, "Oh no, don't worry, we've got it." They don't have it.
So this is what the army is telling, because they have to tell us that they have everything. I know that from soldiers that there is a shortage in many things. But I also know that for some soldiers, there isn't a shortage, and the army is getting, the equipment. But I can't answer for the army. No, to that. I can't answer for the army. I can't answer. I'm not sure. I know that since, that I want to tell you not only how we operated, because I think the first month we tried to just function. It's like, it's a big trauma. So we were going to Shivas, and I want to tell you about, some of my close people who I had, who died. And so we had to go to Shivas and continue functioning. So we tried just to be there, to do whatever we need. Now that we are, a little bit back to Dalol, we are full of sadness. It's a terrible, really. We can't sleep at night. We can't, it's. So I have two of my friends. Their sons went to the Nova Festival, the music festival in the south at that night. And one of them, the name is Aner Shapira, and the other one, his name is Hirsch Polin. They were friends. I guess you know their story, but they are people from our community and from Safeguarding Our Shared Home. Both families were with us during 10 months, and they were friends from young age. And when everything started, Aner stepped out and threw back all the hand grenades until the last one killed him. And Hirsch Polin was kidnapped to Gaza, and his family is one of our community, and we think of them every day, every night, every minute in the day. And also many others. We got so many other people. We are going from Shiva to Shiva. Many of my closest friends, my nephew, all of them are in Gaza. So we think every day, every night, we think of all the names, we pray for them, and we are afraid of what's going to happen. And in Jerusalem, it's a little bit easier because we don't get that much of muscles now. But entire country is now under, today I was in a Zoom with one of my colleagues. She said, just a second, we have a siren, I have to go. And then she came back. So people are all the time under attack. So we have to be aware that it's not a matter of a narrative. It's a matter of the way we live every day, and we really stopped our lives, our regular lives, and we started new way of living our lives, trying to, to have routines, trying to do whatever we can do. But people really, we have in our community, in my congregation, we have 100 soldiers that, we are calling every week. We bring food, we call to the families, we invite each other to come to be with us. 100 soldiers in one community. Just think of what does it mean. So our lives are totally changed. And also I want to say something about protesting now. So one of the all the protest groups from the beginning of this war were transformed into such civic society help. And all of us went to work in such centers. And yet, while looking at our government, we can't trust all the decisions, yet we are all behind them because we agree with the goals of this war and its necessity. But now you can see there are many decisions that they make that kind of continue what they wanted to do in the beginning. So our people are divided in what they think. Should we protest now or shouldn't we? Because in the minute that we start protesting, our political leader, the politicians will say, you see, you are dividing the country, you are against the country, but at the same time, they give money to sectors that are not serving in the army. So we are divided. We have we are all, of course, in favor of bringing back all the kidnapped people, but there are many decisions to make in the protest groups, and we of course want Netanyahu and Smotrich and everybody to take responsibility after the war, but also to take care of the entire people. So we are very worried now of managing the country. Although all of us are now both in the army and in working for the civic society. So what we used to say is that the people are strong, our government not so.
When you spoke to us in Vancouver, you had pretty much almost taken a leave from your work at Hebrew Union College to do this work. And so had many of you that work with you. Are you back at work and doing this as a volunteer? Is this your full-time job?
No. So I went back to work a few weeks ago because I felt that my students really need also some kind of support. And as I teach several groups. One of them is a MA program in pluralistic Jewish education. The universities didn't start yet the official year, but I felt that I need to gather my students, and we had every Wednesday we had an entire day. We studied together, we volunteered together, we worked together, and as I said to them, studying now and spiritual caring is not מותרות, איך אומרים מותרות? איך? לא goals, לא מטרות, מותרות. It's not a luxury. It's something that you and I, that we all need. We need to study together now. And I teach also rabbis in Hebrew Union College. So we started teaching because all of them are in the field and they need, of course, support. But the one program that I lead, which is a teacher's lounge that bring together Arab and Jewish teachers, this program couldn't start because people are not ready now to get together. Yet, all the faculty of this program, we had so many discussions, Jews and Arabs now, thinking of what shall we do now. People really are afraid of each other. People really have a totally different narrative about what's going on. So this is the reason I said this word is, and I can tell you about the discussion that I had today with my colleague, my Arab colleague, talking about what shall we do. You know, our donors of this program, we don't have enough if you look to donate for a program, no. But our donors keep waiting for us to go back. to say everything business as usual, we will start again, everything will be okay, we are in favor of shared society, and we, all the things that we said before. And we are not ready to do that because our people can't hear the narrative of each other. Because my Arab colleague said to me that in 7th of October, the Palestinian people got a picture of victory. And she said a few days later, this picture was dismissed, kind of. And I said, why it was ended, this picture of victory? Because you saw what happened really? Because you saw the terrible things that were done to the Jewish people? She said, no, because you entered to Gaza and started killing the people. So that was the reason that. So I'm thinking, okay, so what does it mean? What does it mean about the future of being together, of living together? What does it mean about, and I said to her, is this what, the people that come to our program, teachers, to talk to each other, is this what they think? She said, yes. So we said, okay, we can't give up, because what are our options? Shall we educate for hatred and being afraid of each other? Can we think of a different future for all of us? So what I say to everybody, I said, look, this war will end. We will continue to live here side by side. So we have to decide, do we want to educate ourselves to live together and find ways to live together, or do we want to educate ourselves to use more and more violence and force against each other? So we will, of course, choose the more humanistic way, but we will have more cautions. We will have to think, how can we do that? And we agreed today, this morning, that people really hate each other, even friends. I have colleagues, I have friends. Only several of them called me to ask what's going on with your family. But I talked to them, and we all agree that this is terrible, and some of them have family in Gaza. So I asked them, how is your family? They were hurted. My heart is with you also. It's hard. And yet, we see this in a different way, but we have to find ways to have a future together. Yes, please.
So this kind of comes to what my question was, because in North America, in Vancouver,
Yeah.
the focus has been in order to try to bridge that of really hating each other. It's been to isolate out Hamas and to say it's not the Palestinians, it's not even the Israelis, maybe it's Israeli government in some cases, but Hamas is the bad actor. And then if Hamas was removed from the equation, there could be the ground to build peace.
Yeah.
Is that being said here?
Yeah, of course. This is what we want to say. This is what we want to believe in. Also, the Palestinian people in Gaza, many of them hate Hamas because you can see at the news what they're doing to them. They're taking, all the money that they got to build Gaza. They build all the tunnels and all the food that they're getting now, they're taking it from the people. This is what I see in the news. So I hear lots of Palestinian people who just hate Hamas. But at the same time, I got also what my Palestinian person, she says, we are so depressed that we need kind of pictures of victory. So and also our government is narrowing our free speech in Israel, both for Jews and for Arabs. So no one feels enough confidence, especially Arab people, to talk freely about what they believe. So it's even harder to create a serious conversation amongst us. It's not easy. And people in East Jerusalem, Naji, where do you live? איפה אתה גר? בצפון. So it's different. In the north, totally different. In the north. Yeah, so so in the north, and people who serve the army, this is totally different way of looking at things, because Arab citizens who serve the army are part of this society, and they are conflicted. Naji can tell you, they are conflicted with the Palestinian identity and family. So it's hard. But we do, this is the program that we have is mainly in Jerusalem, and we have also groups in the north. The Arab people in the north totally feel different from the people in Jerusalem. The Arab people in the north, they feel part of us. They feel that this is a tragedy. Everything, of course, everybody feels this is a tragedy, but the Palestinian people here, they are so depressed that, they don't have, we need to build kind of a future, but we don't know yet how to do that. So, yeah.
Is it just the geography of the Arabs living in the north versus those living in the west?
No. It's not just the geography. It's the fact that in Jerusalem, not all the Arabs are citizens, and so they have different rights. And in Jerusalem, they have also a different educational system. They do the Palestinian exams at the end, which are different. So it makes it harder to get to the universities, and also many of them are against normalization with Israel. So they continue living in different situations. So it's totally different, and it's hard to, yet we don't want to give up, but we have to figure out what's the way to do that. And I have also Arab friends at the north who feel different. So it's complicated.
I want to go back and ask a question that is obvious, but you said that you believe in the matara, the war. What can you say what that is?
We have to defend. Yeah. So we have to defend ourselves. We realize that Hamas can't be a partner to anything. So, we have to make Hamas with no power to continue his dreams to have all Israel. So I guess to destroy the power of Hamas and their ability to attack us. I can't say how it will happen, but I think that most of the soldiers feel that this is the right war. We have no other option than to fight for ourselves. It's dangerous, but protesting now will make a demoralization for our society, so we should postpone the protest. Or other people say that protesting now will be Bibi will use us protesting now against us. So there are many kind of questions, and also the feeling that our people are now in the south fighting and in the north. People are so depressed that it's hard to get out of home to protest because people are really depressed. Yeah.
Question more with your education background.
Yeah.
How do you think that the schools are responding to this and supporting the emotional needs of children right now?
So I think that it depends. Many schools in Jerusalem accepted many students from south and north. So a school with like 200 people would get 40 more people from south and north. So they have to deal also with what happened to them. And many of the kids are now so distracted and worried for their parents and looking at the news all the time. And also there are many teachers who are missing. So I think that first of all, schools are in a survival mode now. They have to bring kids together. Teaching now is a kind of a challenge, huge challenge. the school of my two sons just lost 5 of their graduates. So just think of the kids that have to go to funerals. And the school of Anat's son lost his head of school now. And several heads of schools are in the army. So talking about deep response, I think we are in a survival mode. Teachers are trying to do their best. One of my colleagues in safeguarding our shared home, he was in a sabbatical last year, but he went back to school. He's now both the head of the Rakaz Shikhva, how you say that? He's the head of the 11th grade, and he's the mechanech of 2 classes because both of their teachers are in the army. So just think of what he's going through with the kids. So I can't say that we are in a deep response. We're trying to survive, and people are trying to do their best. But basically, they're looking after the kids that have someone in the army or someone dead, or in the south, or we are in we are a society now in a mourning.
And you used the word I was just about to use, mourning, because in our experience in working with people who are grieving, we recognize that it runs on its own clock, and that we can't put artificial timelines on when somebody is ready to let go, to change whatever in their home or in their routine because that person is gone. And what I'm hearing now from you and also from Yosef Halevi is the same thing, that they're just not ready. We're not there yet. And I think one of the things I'm learning now in just the 6 hours that we've been here is that our clock in the West is very, very different. And it's informed by completely different factors. A lot of it have to do with news cycles and public opinion. And what I'm taking away in just these 6 hours is that that society is in mourning and deeply wounded and grieving and all of those things. And whatever those 5 steps are, Ross,
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you are on that, but it's nowhere near the end, nowhere near the acceptance part. Very, very interesting. But I'm also hearing you say that amongst the Palestinians that you work with in education, they're also not ready to come back to dialogue.
They are afraid. They feel that they can't speak freely with us. And they also hate us for what we're doing in Gaza to their families.
And they don't see a kesher between what was done on October 2nd and why what's happening in Gaza is happening?
They tell us, you're doing damage to us for many years. So, we have to, So, not all of them, but many of them.
It's a small thing.
Everybody, I realize that people are using lens to get whatever they want to get. So it's hard to. One of the researches that was done now shows that people, both Palestinian and Jewish people, are ready to accept deeds that are not that moral because of the big message. So I would say I can't compare. I believe that what happened in 7th of October ruined everything. But so I'm saying, of course, we don't want to damage civil society in Gaza. But if we need to do that in order to destroy Hamas, I'm sorry. But listen to myself saying that, I know that I would rather prefer that we don't have to be there. And it's not a good deed to do that, but we're doing it to survive. So it's hard, but I have to take care for the people it's first time in Israel that really people had to go out of their homes, and we are now in a total danger. So it's first time that the state of Israel is really in a danger of survival in terms of, just the ability to live all over. So
what aspects of the protest movement and what you've created over the past 2 months do you hope continue past the war and past everything?
So I think that I told you that one thing that we're struggling for in our protest movement was the need for broad agreements among the Israeli society. We say it's not that we have to shallow our goals. It's not that left and right are the same. They are different. They have different perspectives, but we need to have each other seriously, and we need to have serious discussions. But we have to fight all the extremist people who want to destroy the big center of people who do believe in democracy and in a Jewish state. So we need to, this is the message that we need to even strengthen now, because some things that we see is how the extremists in the government are affecting the government decisions. So this is something that we will need to continue fighting. No, I'll eat at home.
Let me grab you the sakum.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
סליחה שאני פותח, אני אעשה לכם שנייה חמה. קופי או תה?
משהו בלי קפין.
You could have מים בננה. יש מים חמים בננה?
כן, אצלנו.
רוצה ניקח הזמנות מכולם? לא, אני פשוט מבין מה, יש להם קפה כבר.
Don't mean to be disrespectful asking, I'm curious, when your colleagues say you've been doing, for many years and now we finally feel a sense of, does what happened on October 7th at all affect Israelis in thinking about that there's been this build-up within the Palestinian people of explosion?
No, I think it did the opposite. I think that we don't think that what we do seriously by having the Jewish state is doing such a tevach. We're not doing a genocide every day since our country started. And also, if you see Najib, who's your driver, and people who lives in the north, they have so many rights in Israel. It's not the best that we can imagine, but they do have rights. It's not an apartheid place. They, even in Jerusalem, we go to the same malls, we drive the same buses and the trail. So I can't agree that they're right. I do think that we never got seriously to solve the conflict, and what happens in Judah and Samaria, it's terrible. We need to solve it, but it's not a genocide. It's, we're trying to survive, and I do believe that we need to have a solution, that we need to work on a solution.
Do you think October 7th destroyed all that?
Many of it, yes, because people do not believe that we can have a future. People do believe in using much more force than before. People lost faith. Jewish people lost faith in Arab people, even in places where they work together. So they're much more suspicious in everything that they write in their Facebooks, and they can't say anything in favor of their people, because if it's in favor of their people, it's against us. It's hard when, even though we know that Hamas killed our people, and it wasn't, every Palestinian, yet they got so much support from the people, and people can say the Palestinian people were trapped, but yet they supported Hamas, and many of them participated in what happened in October 7th. So I'm sure there are many good Arab people who hate all this violence and are so against it. But yet, we went many steps back in dreaming of a better future, which we will continue working towards, but it's harder. Yeah.
The people who have stepped up in leadership in the civil society, I think we asked this when you came to Vancouver, but I'm interested to hear your answer right now. Like, what do you think will become of that leadership in the future of Israel?
People ask us if we will go to politics. I don't think I will go to politics because I hate this life. And I believe that, I stepped back from my work and I love my work. And I'm doing it because I feel obligation to do that. And it's an amazing experience. But I hope that some of us will go to politics and make changes. And we have to have the force to influence our politicians. So I guess that what we saw in the protest movement is that we had the force. So I think we have to believe that we can influence.
I know this may not be your expertise, but I'm curious if you have a sense that there's always been. I remember that my debit staff said to me maybe 5-6 years ago that there were 800,000 Israelis in North America, and I know that there's an Israeli community in Dusseldorf and Paris and London and all of these places. The balance between Israelis staying and Israelis going to consulates has always been an issue. Do you get the sense that this is bringing people home or pushing people out?
I guess that both. We hear a little bit of the anti-Semitism that you're facing, not all the event, not. And when I was in Vancouver, I heard some of it, but I guess that now you're facing much more. So we are hearing anti-Semitism all over. But I have a cousin who maybe 20 years ago went to Portugal and is living by a river. He's sending me pictures of a nice place near a river with trees with bright flowers, telling me that whenever I want to come, I'm invited. And so I guess that some people will want to live, but maybe you can tell me if you think that anti-Semitism will push people to come back, not only Israelis, but also Jews. I don't know.
Yeah. What I would tell you about anti-Semitism in the United States right now is that there are two kinds. There is a far-right anti-Semitism, which I think is loud on the internet, but in most places where Jews live is nearly invisible. And then there is left-wing anti-Semitism, which you find the more elite the university, the more you find it.
The progressive places. So I think, yeah.
It's pervasive at this point.
Yeah.
And so, I think there's a lot of people who are rethinking.
Mm-hmm.
They're creating lists of universities that are safer to go to.
Okay. So I guess it's kind of the same. It's safer to live in Jerusalem, so you live in Jerusalem, then it's safer to live in the south. So you find your place.
You can find your place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even before this, a lot of the Jewish communities, like speak more of the Orthodox community, they moved to places like Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, Nevada, Florida. There've been big shifts out of New York City into what are called red states.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because Republicans are known as the red states. The
I used to live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
So,
So,
I was in Chattanooga.
okay. Oh.
there's a, so I think that at least certain Jews were already relocating because
Yeah.
of other parts of the political spectrum, but I think this will just increase that movement.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll just note that is interesting, especially in Vancouver, is that the Israeli community in Vancouver is much more connected with the broader Jewish community than ever before.
Yeah, I guess this may be one of the influence. Yeah. Yeah, they may feel themselves more Jewish than Israelis now, I guess. But I think that as an educator also, that we are in a time that we have to think of what we learned from being liberal Jews. You know, I'm Orthodox, I'm egalitarian Orthodox, okay? So I live those two, you know, liberal, progressive set of values, and also the traditional commitment, and I do believe that both if you come from the left side of Jewish life or from the right side of Jewish life, we all have to consider, you know, what are the boundaries, what did we learn from the attack of Judaism and of liberal thought and progressive thought. We are in a time that we have to consider the ways that we connect liberalism and Judaism, each of us. Yeah, I think we.
Yeah, thank you.
Michal, thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much. Amazing. Thank you.